Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of Drishti IAS Editorial Analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. First of all, we link the editorial to the UPSC syllabus. Secondly, we try to understand the key points of the editorial. And thirdly, if any key concepts have come in the editorial and are important from exam point of view, we also discuss that. So let us begin today's editorial analysis. We have taken today's editorial from Times of India and it has appeared on 23rd of June. The title of the editorial is Decoupling from China, and it says that industrial policy that targets strategic industries is needed to distance the economy from China. Now let us look at its linkage with the syllabus. Since it deals with India-China bilateral relations in the trade domain, it links directly with GS paper 2, where we have international relations. And because it is dealing with trade relations in general and with China in particular, so it deals with GS paper 3, where we have economic development. And here it links with Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment. And also it links with effects of liberalization on the economy, changes in industrial policy in particular, and their effects on industrial growth. So after establishing the linkage with the syllabus, now let us look at the key points of the editorial. Before moving on to the key points of the editorial, let us understand the situation between India and China, especially in terms of trade. So after the Galwan incident, which was very unfortunate and where 20 of India's soldiers were martyred in a conflict with Chinese troops, there has been a lot of sentiment against China and there have been calls to boycott Chinese products and halt all kind of bilateral trade. But let us look at what it entails for India and for China. So here in this infograph, we can see that China is still second largest trade partner of India, and the first rank is occupied by United States. And these are provisional trade figures for 2019 and 20. And here in this table, Hong Kong and China have been considered separately. But if we combine these two, then China is by far the largest trade partner of India. But on the other hand, if we see India as partner of China in its trade basket, then we see that India is one of China's smaller partners. And it accounts for only 2.1% of the total Chinese trade with the world. Also in this figure, we can see that how the boycott of Chinese products and Chinese trade relations can impact India. So it can impact India and its trade in a very big way, because 15.3% of India's imports are from China and 5.1% of India's exports are to China. On the other side, India's share in China's total exports is a meager 3.1% and India's share in China's total imports is just 0.9%. So it seems that China won't even feel the pain of any Indian boycott. Also, there is a feeling in India that the trade deficit that India runs with China is very harmful to India. But at the same time, we need to understand that only 20% of the total products which are being imported from China are consumer products, which are finished products and directly used by the consumers. Whereas the majority of the products, which is around 50% of the products, are capital goods or intermediate goods, which are used by Indian producers for manufacturing other finished goods, which are either consumed in India or exported to other countries. For example, the active pharmaceutical ingredients, which are used by Indian pharmaceutical companies to manufacture drugs. So we should not take a very myopic view of India's trade relations with China. Yes, India needs to become self-reliant, especially in strategic sectors. But a total boycott of Chinese goods and Chinese trade will not help India. Also here we could see that Chinese firms are major investors in India. And the number of Chinese companies investing in India has increased from 21 in 2010 to around 48 in 2019. And the investment in 2019 was around $1,907 million. Also, if we look at the tourism sector, then the Indians visiting China was around 8 lakh people in 2016, while only 2.5 lakh Chinese visited India. And most importantly, China is not just India's factory, but it is world's factory. And it is among the largest trade partners of almost all the countries. And India has only a small share in its exports and imports, so its boycott will not hurt China much. And finally, we can look at China's economic growth story. And China's growth has been largely export-driven growth. And between 1960 to 1980, the share of global GDP increase was only from 1.1% to 1.2%. But after 1980, China embarked on a rapid economic growth path. And by 2018, China's share of global GDP had increased to 13%. And in terms of global GDP, China's real rival is only United States. Also, some important facts to keep in mind are that more than 50% of India's imports from China are either capital or intermediate goods. Here we should also know what are capital goods and what are intermediate goods. So capital goods are those goods which are used in producing other goods. For example, buildings, machinery, tools, etc. And intermediate goods are also those goods which are used for producing other goods, but they are consumed during the process of production. For example, here we can have the APIs, the active pharmaceutical ingredients, which are the building blocks of medicines. They would be an example of intermediate goods. And China is the biggest supplier of active pharmaceutical ingredients. Whereas the consumer goods, which are the finished goods having made in China label, they have a share of less than 20%. So even if a consumer ban is imposed on these goods, it will hardly have very large impact. Also, any knee-jerk reaction on India's part can disrupt the capital goods and intermediate goods supplies, and thereby domestic value chains can be adversely affected, which India does not want, especially at a time when, due to COVID-19 pandemic and even otherwise, the Indian economy is facing a difficult time and contracting rather than growing. But obviously, this large trade deficit with China, which India is having, this needs to be addressed, and for this, simultaneous development of domestic capabilities is needed to satisfy the import demand. Because if we stop importing from China, then we should have those domestic capability to manufacture those items in India. And for this, India will require access to funds, technologies, and export markets as well. And for competing with China, India will have to be more attractive to the foreign investors. For that, they need to be provided tax benefits, cheap land, and infrastructure which is of world-class level. And there should also be regulatory certainty in the country, which is very much essential. Also, while imposing any kind of tariffs or ban on Chinese goods or Chinese imports, India has to consider that it is a member of WTO along with China. And under WTO rules, India has to offer China the same tariffs as offered to all other members, and vice versa. Also, a rule-based trading system which is guaranteed by WTO, it benefits poorer countries like India. Though the WTO rules also allow imposition of anti-dumping duties and phytosanitary barriers in certain cases, and they can be employed against Chinese companies which are indulging in unfair practices or hurting the domestic industry. But it cannot be a blanket ban as such. So after having this background, now let us look at the key points of the editorial. So the editorial talks about decoupling from China. Decoupling here means dissociating from China. Because in global value chains, all the countries are now having close economic ties with each other, especially a country like China, which is known as world's factory. So every country is directly or indirectly linked with Chinese supply chains. But now the editorial says that India will need to take some strategic decisions to at least decouple certain sectors of its economy from Chinese influence. And this call has gathered pace after the clash at Galwan Valley, which has given rise to anti-China sentiments in India. But even before this unfortunate incident happened in Galwan, government had already begun to tighten the framework for Chinese investment. And in April 2020, FDI rules, which is foreign direct investment rules, were amended to make sure that any future investment from China would require mandatory clearance by the government. And this happened because Even in many European countries, such rules have been made to make sure that in the current economic downturn, which is a global phenomena, the Chinese companies which are backed by the state power, they do not buy out the companies of these countries. So there is a fear of Chinese takeover. And due to this, many countries have passed such laws, and India also did the same in April 2020. And one notable incident or company which we should remember here is HDFC Bank, in which Chinese central bank has bought certain stake, and this has led to certain concerns being raised in India. Also, the editorial says that Chinese investment in IT based startups has increased greatly in the last 5 years. An editorial also says that it will be prudent on the part of government to subject these investments to closer scrutiny, because in many times these Chinese companies are a front for the Chinese government or Chinese military. So there needs to be due diligence exercised by the Indian government in allowing these Chinese companies to invest in Indian companies and maybe take them over. In addition, the editorial says that the larger challenge and the bigger challenge for India would be to insulate its economy from China without incurring extreme costs. Because in the global economy now all countries are interdependent, and especially China, which has a major share in the global GDP, and almost all the global supply chains pass through Chinese manufacturers. So editorial also says that this kind of decoupling will be difficult at a very short notice, but at the same time, with the recent tensions seen between India and China, the Indian government has to make sure that China has to be made to realize that it cannot be a business as usual approach, and there will be some repercussions. But at the same time, India will also need to guard against incurring extreme costs in the trade-off. So the editorial talks about the two ways in which the Indian government can move towards decoupling from China in the economic field. And both these approaches will require extensive government intervention. But the editorial also says that this government intervention has to be a smart intervention and not the use of blunt instruments like an across the board tariff increase, which is bound to be challenged in WTO and will invite similar action or reprisal from Chinese government. So India has to be smart in making its economy Atmanirbhar, but at the same time trying to become more attractive to the foreign investor. Because right now, after this COVID-19 pandemic, many of the countries as well as many of the companies are looking for alternate bases for their manufacturing. And this is a great opportunity for India to become a destination of choice for these countries and companies. So the editorial talks about these short-term measures that the government needs to take. And here the government needs to identify the labor-intensive segments, which are major employment generators and which have been adversely affected by Chinese imports. So in these sectors and in these segments, tariffs can be used as a tool to encourage production in India. But this is only a short-term approach. So certain industries and certain sectors can be targeted for tariff increase. But as the editorial says, this can only be a short-term measure and only limited to certain sectors. The more important is the long-term approach, where India needs to counter China's stranglehold over strategic industries, which at present supply inputs to Indian firms. And the most important example here is the active pharmaceutical ingredients market, which is totally captured by Chinese manufacturers. And these APIs are the building blocks of medicines. And the Indian pharmaceutical sector is heavily dependent on these APIs, which are sourced from China. The editorial suggests that the government needs to take measures to help the Indian industry manufacture these within India and at competitive rates. And for this, an industrial policy is needed, which encourages domestic production in these earmarked segments which are of strategic importance. And editorial also throws a word of caution here that the aim here should be to compete in a global market by making Indian products world class and be self-reliant in these strategic areas. So it should not become a case of import substitution. Rather, India and Indian companies should try to compete in the global market by making Indian products world class. And the government can help by making this industrial policy which helps in lowering the cost of production in areas with strong export potential, which will make the Indian products competitive at global level. And for this, editorial suggests an approach that the government can create parcels of land banks which can be leased to companies, and in these land banks, common infrastructure can be provided by the government to reduce cost for the industry. So this is something similar like the special economic zones, which is an idea which has been tried before, but not much success has been achieved. But the editorial suggests that maybe it is the time to revisit the idea, tweak, make some changes, and again try to make it work. So this was in the key points of the editorial. Now let us look at the kind of questions that can be asked from this editorial in prelims and mains. So in prelims, one can be asked about the bilateral trade between India and China and the trade deficit that India has with China. So it is around $56 billion. And one can always update it with the latest figures which are available. Also, we should know about the bilateral trade and the ranking, like which is the country at the top with which India is having bilateral trade. So right now US is at the top, but if we count China and Hong Kong together, then China is at the top. But normally these are considered separately. Also, we should be clear about the trade deficit, how much trade deficit India is having with China and with other countries. The recent changes in the FDI rules, about this also a question can be asked. Then we should be clear about the basic terms of international trade like tariffs, duty, anti-dumping, etc. Also here we should be knowing about WTO. And in mains, the question can be on India-China trade relations, how to reduce the trade deficit, whether trade deficit is necessarily a bad thing, and also a question can be asked on is trade ban a good idea, why and why not. So we should be prepared with points on both sides, though largely a trade ban is not a great idea, especially because of the difference between India and China. Also a question can be asked on China plus one model. Now this model is very important, and this China plus one model has become more important after this COVID-19 pandemic. And this model is basically about diversification, which is being thought of by the countries and companies which are dependent hugely on China for their operations. So because of the global supply chain shock which came as a result of COVID-19 when China was totally shut off from rest of the world, so the companies and countries, they are thinking of having their manufacturing bases at one more place outside of China, and this will reduce their operating cost as well as it will diversify their workforce and supply chains. So it is a risk mitigation strategy. And here in this China plus one model, India also figures in, because India is also trying to project itself as an alternative destination for companies which want to shift their manufacturing bases out of China. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. We'll see you next time with another editorial. Thank you.